Okay, there's today's Walt and date. If you could copy that into your books, please. Some people have been typing it up. I'd prefer it really if you wrote in here, because then everything gets kept together. So could you please write in your book today? It says, understanding bias in newspaper reports. Bias. What does bias? You want to have a look it up in the dictionary. What does bias mean? Basically, it's another word for your opinion on something. Let's think of an example. In America recently, there was an election between lots of people, but the main two people were Joe Biden and Donald Trump. People had different opinions on this. Some people thought that Joe Biden should be president, and some people thought that Donald Trump should be president. And there was clashes. People disagreed so much that there ended up being huge riots. I don't know if you saw it in the news. But people form opinions based on the news they read. Normally, that's not entirely true, but people get their news through either a newspaper, like I've got one here, this is the Eye, either through a newspaper or through a news channel, which is essentially the same thing on the internet, so the BBC News page or something like that. Now, if you're in charge of a newspaper, or you're a newspaper journalist, you need to decide what your bias is going to be, how you're going to write that report. Do you know who your readers are? For example, certain newspapers in America know very well that most of their readers are Donald Trump supporters, so it would be in their best interest to keep their readers happy, so their readers keep them buying their newspapers. In which case, their newspaper reports, they reported on what was going on in the world as if Donald Trump was a good guy and as if Joe Biden was a bad guy. Okay? And some readers of other newspapers would have thought the opposites. They would have thought, well, actually, we know that our readers are more or less all big supporters of Joe Biden, or they all hate Donald Trump. So we need to make sure that our news shows Joe Biden as the good guy and Donald Trump as the bad guy. There are other newspapers, on the other hand, who want to sit in the middle. They don't want to have their newspaper saying he's good, he's bad. They just want to try and show all of the facts, show the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, from each side. I think that this is the Eye. It's the Eye weekend. I kind of think the Eye's a bit like that. The Eye, there we go. There's loads and loads and loads. There's pages and pages and pages and pages of information here. Loads of different stories. I always get the opinion that there's not a huge opinion in these newspapers, unlike other ones. So maybe this one is just trying to show you the news and that's it. We're going to look at a story in a minute, and then we're going to decide how we can show bias from different points of view. But just a quick reminder, the features of a newspaper report: you have a headline, obviously, normally 4 or 5 words. It tries to attract the reader's interest by telling them what the story is about in a short and interesting way. There we go. Police officers redeployed to drive ambulances. Short, you know what the story is going to be about, makes you want to read more. Sometimes they can be clever, witty, alliterative headlines, but sometimes they can just be to the point, so you know what you're going to read. The byline, who wrote the article? Let's have another example of that. Here we go. This is a good one. Drivers told to take care as roads freeze. Byline by David Wood. Or David Wode, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Introduction. It will set the scene and summarise the main points of the article. Okay, let's have a look. Freezing fog and ice, bursts of sunshine and wet and windy weather will create a north-south divide this weekend, forecasters saying. Yep, okay, so that's a quick introduction telling us exactly what's going to be in the article. The body, more detail, yep, that's here. Actually, it continues, this one. But then there's more detail as the article goes on. Quotes. Does this one have any quotes? Ah, there we go. Craig Snell, I wonder if he's Mr. Snell's brother, said, It should be a nice winter's day for a good chunk of Wales and Northern England. However, Northern Ireland and Scotland will turn increasingly cloudy. It's a taste of things to come. So that one's got a quote. Good. So you want people's opinions and what people have said. Photograph and caption. Okay, that's the last thing. Yeah, well, there's a big photograph there. A caption is basically a label for a picture. A bus bound for Glasgow passes through frozen Loch Nach. I can't pronounce that. Or Loch of the Armpit. Okay, so there's a photograph. And there's the caption. So let's go over that again. Headline, subheading, who's it by, introduction, main body, it's got some quotes in it, it's got a picture, it's got a subheading. We're going to have a look at a story now. A very important story, something that's happening in the world right now. And we're going to decide if... Well, actually, I'll tell you what, we're all going to be writing a newspaper report on the next story that I'm going to show you. It's your decision to decide what your bias is. Basically, I want to know which side of the story you're going to try and support, or if you're going to try and be nice and balanced and even. Okay, so I'll play you the story now. It's about, first of all, there was this pig. And he went ahead and he built himself a house, and he made it out of straw. Okay. There was another pig. I'm not sure the fact that he's playing a fiddle is important. But let's go back a bit, he made his house out of twigs. And then had a good time by dancing about. The third, hard-working of the three pigs, most hard-working of the three pigs, took his time, worked hard, and built his house out of bricks. Okay. And while he was working away, the other two were just having a laugh. Playing some music, enjoying themselves. While this guy making the bricks was saying, "No, I can't come and play. I'm too busy working." Anyway, we all know this story. Anyway, then this chap turns up. Now, he's going to be a really interesting part of this story. Think about how you're going to represent this guy in your newspaper report. Big Bad Wolf. Okay, I wonder if anyone knows what happens in this one. Anyway, he goes to the first piggy's house, and I think the reports I heard said that the wolf huffed and he puffed, and anyway, you get the idea. He blew the house down. Anyway, he runs off to the guy with the twigs, the pig with the twigs. Same thing happens. Huffs, and he puffs, and blows the house down. I'll put the link up to this video if you want to watch the whole thing. Anyway, he tries to go and blow down the house of the chap the chap who built his house out of bricks. However, he can't. It's too much. His trousers just fall down then. That was hilarious. All right, fair enough. So, he can't get in, so I wonder if you remember what happens. He tries to go... I know, I'm going to go down the chimney, he says. Okay. So he tries to get down the chimney, but then the pig has a good idea, and he just puts loads of boiling water. Ugh, that's disgusting. Put boiling water underneath it. So this poor wolf, when he finally breaks into the house... I think we missed it. Ends up burning himself. And he runs off. Happy days. The end. Okay, so obviously that was the story of the three little pigs. With the wolf, who tries to break into the first two houses, and he manages to by blowing them down. But he can't get into the brick house, so he goes in through the chimney and burns himself. He ends up getting burned because the naughty pigs set a trap for him. So I want you to write a newspaper report about that happening, okay? That may sound weird, but what I don't want you to do is just tell me what happened. I don't want you to say, first of all, he tried to try. What I want to know is some really, really, really good opinions, okay? So I'm thinking like, should pigs really be living in fear? I'm going to link another video which has got a really good example of how to approach this task. And then what I want you to do is in your books. I'm going to do this quite roughly, you're going to be better. Pigs are good guys. Wolf. Oh, sorry, alright. Pigs are good, or wolf is good. So, or in fact, I've come up with an even better title. Why don't we say, instead of writing that, why don't we write pro-pigs? So you can either have your newspaper being pro-pigs or pro-wolf. Okay, you're obviously going to do it a lot neater and you're going to use a ruler here. But what I want you to do is to write down a list of things which you think would make your newspaper pro-pigs. For example, pigs get viciously attacked by a wolf. They didn't do anything to the wolf. Why is it fair that the wolf is trying to attack them? They are pushed out of society. They have to resort to building their own houses. You know, see if you can come up with anything interesting. But then how on earth do we be pro-wolf? Well, a wolf is a carnivore. A wolf needs to eat. So the wolf is just trying to get his dinner. Is it fair that a wolf, just trying to do what a wolf does, gets boiled alive? Or how can we prove that the wolf was trying to eat them? Maybe he was just trying to get into their house to help them out. Yeah, the wolf wasn't trying to kill them. No, he was just trying to show how flimsy building a house out of twigs would be. So at the end of this, we'll start writing tomorrow, but by the end of this lesson, I want you to have a list of things here about why the pigs are in the right and why we're going to be sympathetic towards the pigs, the pro-pig, why we're going to be sympathetic towards the wolf, the pro-wolf. And then I want you to decide, is your newspaper article going to be pro-wolf? Is it going to be pro-pig? Or is it going to be balanced? Is it going to have a little bit of information about why the pigs are in the right and a little bit of information about why the wolf is in the right? Okay. Please watch the video below. Watch it a couple of times. It's really good. It gives you a really good idea about how you can take your newspaper article in different directions. Then tomorrow we'll start writing it and I'll go into a little bit more detail about how I want you to set it out. So today I just want you to have a think about the story, have a think about how you could argue for the pigs, how you could argue for the wolf, and have a think about which direction you want to take your newspaper article in. Which bias are you going to have a pro-pig bias or are you going to have a pro-wolf bias? Okay, looking forward to reading.